Welcome back here on Prime Morning. It's midweek and it's time for us to have Prime Insight. And it's a conversation that was started this week on Monday. It's all about the new calendar for the students, of course, coming from the GES and what concerns have been raised in terms of people's, decisions on what exactly these new calendar and, the way they've been put together would be able to impact on the student's life. And I'm sure if you join us here on Monday and you spend time with Rosalind, you'd understand that we made it from different perspectives. And today, we want to continue from there. So on Monday, we looked at the teacher's perspective, and it's something that a lot was said about, and we want to look at it from a different angle today. So we've got some guests in the studio, though others will be joining us on phone, and we've got some insert vox pops that we'll be playing for you on that as well. So before we get into that, by the way, if you're getting to hear this for the first time, don't forget that the Ghana Education Service has actually released the 2023 academic calendar for all government schools. Now, the calendar is purposely released for senior high technical schools, junior high schools, primary schools, and kindergarten. Now, the statement that was released on February 8, 2023, directed all regional directors in the country to actually ensure that heads of schools for basic and second cycle schools in their respective regions completely adhere with this new calendar that has been released. Now, for those of you who haven't really seen much of it, for the double track students in Form 3 who opened schools on January 10, 2023, the GES noted that they will go on break between April 6 and 16 and return on April 17, 2023. Now, the students would also then go on another break between June 2nd to 8th, 2023. They would also resume on the 9th of June and stay in schools up until September 15, 2023 to end the academic year for the first time. Now, GES also underscored the fact that JHS 3 students would also go on vacation between March 25th to April 2nd, 2023. They will resume on April 3rd, 2023 for the second term. They would also then go on vacation between June 16 to the 26th, 2023. They will then return to schools on June 27, 2023 for the third term. Now, this, according to GES, is the 2023 Basic Education Certificates Examinations, BC, and it will start on September 2023. So, if you look at it critically, you'd realize that it's a bit confusing. It's a bit complicated. And so many parents out there have raised concerns about this. And like I said, we started this conversation on Monday, so it's a continuation of that. In the studio to help us with the conversation, I've got Dr. Sylvester Hachu. He's a parent. Joyce Lanyon is the country director for International Child Development Program. She's also going to be with us here on the show. And Cassandra Chum Ampofo is the head public relations unit, GES. She's also going to join us here on the show to look at the various perspectives and how best we can deal with this situation. But let's take a look at this. And it's just something that we went on the street to speak to those who matter, stakeholders, and we want you to take a look at it. When we come back, we'll begin with the conversation here on the new school calendar.
My name is Frank Obendafo, the head of academics of Faith Kids Academy of Excellence. On behalf of the management of Faith Kids, I'd like to welcome Joy Prime to our beautiful school. Today we are here to discuss the revised academic calendar that GES has introduced. With me is my team of teachers who have different opinions on what they think. And so without wasting much time, I'll hand over to my team to ask them what they think about this newly revised calendar. What do you think, Mr. Baji?
With my opinion, I think as a Basic 3 teacher, I think I stand against the new calendar because the transition from Basic 3 to 4, it's not that easy for the kids. There's going to be a lot of pressure on us, the teachers, and the learners. Assuming you are teaching a Basic 3 learner mathematics, 2 plus 2 is supposed to be 4. So if we skip this and the learner goes to Basic 4, how then is it going to continue from there? So I think I stand against the calendar. Yes, I stand against it because we should use our old one for the time being for them to catch up with our learning activities. Thank you.
Mr. Waju talks about the limited time. Mr. Aku, what do you think?
Thank you, Mr. Dafo. I think that the time that this thing was introduced, our contact hours with the learners will be reduced. Because looking at the time from January to August, before the term will end, the year will end for the academics, which is very, very bad. It means that the time is very short. Teams have to be powered up on learners, which will be very, very difficult for the learners to handle. Some may handle it, some may not be able to handle it. It will be a very big problem. But we'll see what we can do as teachers.
Ms. Vida, what do you think?
Yes, I think it's a very good time, very good, but the timing is very wrong, because for a whole year we plan a calendar as what to teach in the classroom, but this time the time is very limited, and we are going to force. Pressure will be on the children to do well, and I think it didn't go well with us. With teachers, we are going to be under very big pressure. Children are going to be under pressure. So for me, I don't think I go for it.
I will speak for the new calendar that has been introduced by GES. As a matter of fact, last year saw the academic year ending in December. December is a festive season. Parents spend much, and then the new academic year started in January, which has put another pressure on the parents. But with the introduction of this calendar, we're going back to our September to August system, which in September, there's nothing like expenditure from the parents to make on other things. So their concentration will only be on the learning materials, school fees of the children. So I think that it is a good idea that we all have to comply with, and then we push it forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, teachers. We still have some more. Mr. Ona, what do you think?
Thank you, Mr. Dafo. In fact, I side with what my teachers have just said, but mine is on the part of the teacher, because the vacation with the new one, the vacation is going to be about 9 days, and already the teacher is exhausted with the old one, the new one. The teacher is highly exhausted. So when it happens like this, that means after spending so much time dealing with the semester, we will just go back and spend only 9 days and then can come back. I mean, the toll will be on us too much. Already we were having 3 weeks holidays, and we couldn't even function with the three weeks because we saw it to be too small. Now it has been reduced to nine days. So I think next time when such issues are being embarked upon, GES must try and then consult the teachers who are on the ground, because it helps a lot. Else it will affect the health status of the teachers. That's why a lot of the teachers are backing out of the girl education service because of these things, that decision is taken unilaterally and then the teacher is not concerned. So on my behalf and on behalf of my colleagues, the teachers are saying that the vacation is not all that okay for it. Yes, the days are very, very short. The days are very, very short. Consider the volume of work that we do within a term. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ona. I think I side with Mr. Ona. I'm also talking from the teacher's side. And then I'll say this from the kindergarten department. I'm in the kindergarten department. And then when the children are being brought from nursery to kindergarten, we are to make sure that they learn how to copy from the board, and then learn how to read, how to put words together, and then form sentences. Now that the academic calendar has been compressed from a year to 9 months or so, that's from January to August, we have a lot of pressure on us, and then getting the children to copy from you have to make sure that at the end of the year, the child is able to copy from the board, the child is able to read at least simple sentences before the child moves to the next class. I think it's a lot of pressure on us. We have to put in all our best, and then we are not also getting enough rest. We will not get it at the end of the term. We will only get a week to rest, and I think that is not enough. It will put a lot of pressure on us, and when it comes like that, it will affect the children as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to talk about the short notice. You see, with calendars, their job is to help you plan. But when you get a calendar that, with the normal calendars, for example, they normally come before the year begins, before January. But you have this calendar coming, I think 4 or 5 weeks after the term has begun. You've already planned what to teach for the term, what to teach for the entire year actually. But then you now have a new calendar, compressed calendar, coming with very, very, very little time, very little notice actually, and quite sudden. I like to side with all of them to say it's a bit too much to bear at a go. If it had been done gradually, if it had been done, say after COVID, a year to take things back, another year to basically ease into the new change. But what was so sudden was without notice. We'll see what we can do with it actually. That's what we can say. We'll see what we can do with it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you, my team, for your shared opinion on the introduction of the revised calendar. Overall, we both agree that it has both positive and negative effects. Positive in the fact that we are going back to the normal from September to July, which gave everybody enough time to do his academic work. Negative, we talked about the timing of it, which unfortunately, from our opinion, has not been the best. So this is what we think. I know that the conversation of this is going to go on across schools, across the nation. We hope for the best for this country. We hope for the best of our kids. Thank you very much.
And those were some concerns raised by some teachers here on this very issue of new calendar that has been released by GES and exactly what they think about it. We've also got some people we'll be speaking to. They also share their opinion on what they think about the new calendar. But in the meantime, we're going to begin our conversation here in the studio. Don't forget that you can be a part of the conversation by going on our social media page as Joy Prime TV on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. That's where you can share your opinion with us. And also our WhatsApp line is very active. It's on the screen, so you can just go there and also send in your consents. If you're experiencing it, if you're a student, you're a pupil, and you're experiencing it, you can let us know. If you're a teacher and you've got some concerns as well, you can also send it to us and let us hear from you. It's the introduction of the new calendar. You know, it's been revised, and there's been so many concerns about it, and people think that it's not something that will benefit the students and then the teachers, as well. But let's look at the parent perspective and find out exactly what the parent thinks. So in the studio with me, Dr. Sylvester Hachu is here with me. Sir, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I hope you're good.
I'm good.
Great. Also with us this morning is Mrs. Joyce Lyon. She's the country director for International Child Development Program. She's here with us. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I hope you're good.
I'm good.
Great. Good to have you both over here. I'm grateful that you're able to make it to the studio this morning for us to have this conversation. Along the line, we'll speak to Madam Cassandra Chum Ampofo. She's also the head public relations unit, GES. Now, let me begin with you, Mr. Sylvester, Doc. So I'm going to be using Doc a lot. That's fine, right?
Sylvester,
great.
Fine.
Oh, okay. Sylvester is fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, how does this make you feel as a parent, hearing from the teachers and what they think about this new calendar?
Well, when the calendar came, I was very surprised because when COVID struck, COVID is what led us to change from the regular calendar that we are trying to go back to. So we changed from September, first term, ending May, June, to now start from January, which we adjusted to because we were forced by COVID. Now, so there were discussions that we were going to go back to the regular, what we used to have. Now, suddenly, schools resumed early January. So our kids have spent 4 weeks in school. Usually you expect that the calendar, whether we're going to change or not, the calendar should have been released so that parents can plan before school resumes. But this new calendar came 4 weeks into the term, the first term. Now, we're surprised. What does it mean? We used to have, in fact, regularly, you have the 3 terms or the 3 semesters or the 2 semesters, whatever you call it. We've done a lot of changes to what we call the term. in 12 months. So whether we're starting in September or we're starting in the January, which we're now doing, the 12 months, the year should have ended. What's going to happen this year is that we are going to have 4 terms in 1 year. What does it mean? I buy textbooks in January. By September, I have to change those textbooks. Have you planned to spend in that pattern? Now, I'll go back to the GSS 3, current GSS 3 students. They've suffered double jeopardy. 1, this is the batch that spent almost a year on the new curriculum. Then somewhere along the line, they were asked, oh, no, for this batch, we are going to write BEC. So change. So they have had to change in the middle of GHS 1 back to the new curriculum. And the same batch that suffered 1 year of COVID doing online, which was not really effective in some of the schools. So technically, these kids in GSS 3 are going to spend less than 2 years on the GSS syllabus, practically. Now, with the new calendar, what means that BEC will come earlier than last year. What does it mean for the kids? As parents, well, because we don't have a choice. So people will squeeze, find money from wherever to pay, because your kids cannot go and stay at home. But the kids are going to suffer. The teachers are adults, they are mature, they know how to manage stress and other things. But the kids are going to stay home for just 9 days, a few days, and go back to school. It is very difficult. My kids are worried. Very worried already. So I'll leave it at that as we proceed.
Okay. Let me come to you, Madam Joyce. At this point, are you also worried for the kids out there? Is this something your institution fronts on, or do you think that, well, it's a matter of adjustment? So yeah, the children may not be happy about it, but we have to make sure it happens.
Thank you very much, and good morning to our viewers. I must say that this issue of the calendar or the school calendar is a major challenge to parents, to the school children, and even for us within the education sector. You know, education is to be made available for children to benefit and come out with what they wish to achieve in the future. So it should be structured in a way that will benefit all the stakeholders, in a way that parents will be comfortable, pupils or students will be comfortable, those of us within the ecosystem will also be comfortable. But as at now, if you ask me, I am at a loss as to what is even happening in terms of the academic calendar. Let's look at the parents. Where and when did they communicate with the parents concerning this particular new calendar? Was there any engagement with parents for them to appreciate, or they received the news on social media? I was surprised because parents will have to be part of these decisions and then prepare themselves, prepare their kids, and especially under this very difficult economic circumstance we find ourselves, to also prepare the resources needed for students to be comfortable to achieve whatever it is that they are doing in school. Now, let's pick it from this angle as well. Students, GSS graduates who are preparing to go to the SHS. The placement, is it out there? Are they ready? And yet we are told they are going next week Monday on the 20th. It's a major challenge. You see, when we are looking at these issues, let's look at a parent who, excuse me to say, is an illiterate and has a very stubborn child who wouldn't want to follow the norm, would want to do something else. And the child is in school, has come home. Instead of being in school, he tells the daddy, oh, mommy, we are on holidays. And so, meanwhile, the child is supposed to go to school. The parent will believe that the child is actually on holidays. And this is the time where the child can abscond and do other things to affect his education background without the clear knowledge and appreciation of the parent as to how the school calendar is going. There are a lot of issues. Now, parents have actually complained, and I have certain messages
that parents have shared with you in terms of what the calendar is doing to them.
And I want to read a couple of them.
Yes, one.
So one parent said, why can't the simple school calendar be planned at the beginning of the year once and for all? Simply amazes me. This is a whole ministry, not sitting somewhere in a certain corner and simply sharing knowledge on social media is something that beats my mind. You know, I think this information came on the social media platforms without serious engagement. So a parent who receives these messages on social media, and you know social media, some of the information that are churned out there can have issues around its credibility. So if parents are not part of this serious engagement and just receive messages from the social media platform, I mean, how will some parents receive it, especially those who are handicapped to appreciate the school calendar and the way it runs? I know government is in a rush to beat that 7-year deadline on the double track and the single track system to revert to the old system. But then there should be a systematic engagement. My brother is just talking about his personal problem. There are a myriad of problems that parents are having currently concerning these changes. So I will plead with the government authorities to really come clear, with clear timelines, reasons, and it should be something that parents and all the stakeholders should be able to work with, rather than these erratic changes that throws budget off gear, that throw parents off gear. Girls especially, when it happens like this, if you look at the calendar, are going to stay home for an awful lot of time, months. We are talking about issues around teenage pregnancy. During the COVID, girls, and in fact the country had this whooping number of girls, you know, getting pregnant and getting them back to school. It's not a joke. So I am advocating that there should be a systematic plan involving parents, teachers, and those of us within the educational ecosystem to engage so that we know exactly how we are going when it comes to academic calendar. For now, I'll rest my case.
Sylvester, so let's look at it from your angle again. Now, looking at where we are going right now, it looks as if that it's going to be effective. We may not be able to say, okay, we're not going on what government is saying anymore. How are you preparing your children, to get used to whatever is happening now so they're able to go to school?
Well, like you said, it's like we don't have a choice.
Exactly what we're getting to.
That's why we can afford to wait and bring in a new calendar 4 weeks into, because you know that you can't go and picket at ministry and say change the calendar and other things. But I have questions, and I'm happy Cassandra Chum is going to join the call. What's the rationale for the change of the calendar? We are trying to assume that it's because of A, because of B. Granted that there are legitimate reasons why we need to change the calendar. When did we decide to change the calendar? You are trying to solve a problem because we've adjusted after COVID. The children have adjusted, the schools have adjusted, teaching was going on, BEC was done, results look good. So if you intend to go back, don't create another problem that will linger on for a long time, like Madam just said. The way the calendar is introduced has already created problems. When I told my son that, okay, so now BEC is coming back to September, from the calendar, even though BEC calendar is not out, exams calendar is not out, it's clear that it will be...
That's where we're headed.
That's where we're heading. He said, no, but they just entered GSS 3. And in the kid's mind, You will be surprised. They have programmed, they know when the exam is going to happen. Then suddenly they've changed. Now they have to adjust. Now, some schools have decided that they will have early morning classes, close late, parents will leave far. You know the traffic situation. It means you have to leave home early and things. They are already stressed. The news alone has stressed them already. So, like I said, we don't have a choice. We assign reasons, but we have to manage with the kids. But I've said already, we are creating a problem that will linger on for a long time, that will create ripple effect with other problems, like Madam said.
All right, now we also spoke to some of the pupils, you know, the students, and asked them a few questions about what they think about the new calendar. We're going to take that. When we come back, shortly we'll be also joined by Madam Cassandra, and maybe some of these questions she'll be answering them for us. But let's take a look at this video first.
Hard-working boys and girls, let us rise to play our role, to build a nation and our school, trust Jesus every day. Through Christ our Savior King, head, heart, and hearts we raise. Dear God, to Thee we bring a sacrifice of praise. Academy of Excellence, we are one big family. Head, heart, and hearts we raise a sacrifice of praise. Academy of Excellence, we are one big family. Head, heart, and hearts we raise a sacrifice of praise. My name is Senam Nicole Senyeja. I'm a GES 3 student of Faith Kids Academy. Yes, I've heard about the new revised calendar, and I think it has some positive and negative effects on us. One negative effect of this revised calendar is that weak students who may not have a good understanding of what they are taught might struggle because teachers will go at a fast pace.
My name is Sayam Drao de Lima, and I am in Basic 6 Phronimos of Faith Kids Academy. I think the new academic calendar has issue on my parents. I have 3 siblings in Faith Kids Academy, and during the 1-week vacation, my parents will have to struggle to raise money to pay all of the 4 of us our school fees.
My name is Esther Frempong, and I'm in GES 3 of Faith Kids Academy of Excellence. Yes, I have heard of the new academic calendar, and one effect of this revised academic calendar is that it has brought a lot of pressure on we students, and we have to learn very hard, and this might put stress on us. Thank you.
My name is David Chum Agba. I'm in GES 2 of Faith Kids Academy. Concerning the revised calendar, I feel like the teachers may not have enough time to finish all their subjects before the next term begins, which may cause a lot of confusion and disorganization.
My name is Emanuela Araposin Amarachi, and I am a GES 2 student of Faith Kids Academy.
My name is Eliana Georgina Dodiseiru, and I am in Form 2. I also attend Faith Academy of Excellence.
My name is Denzo Achina Asenso. I am in GES 3, and I'm a pupil of Faith Kids Academy.
My name is Sia Ejwa Fabian Maxwell, and I'm in class 5, and I'm also a pupil of Faith Kids Academy of Excellence. The new curriculum has shortened our holidays because at first I used to travel to my cousins and nephews, but now because of the new curriculum, I cannot travel to my cousins and nephews.
One positive effect of the academic calendar is that after the COVID-19, we're forced to do our carol service and graduation ceremony together in December. But now that the academic calendar has been revised, we can now do our carol service in December and have our graduation ceremony in July.
Before the COVID, the academic calendar was supposed to begin in July and end in September. But due to the COVID-19 virus, it began in January and December. Therefore, it wasn't anything really bad. But now, because of the new calendar, we have to go back to what we were doing before, which was a worldwide term. So we are going back to the old normal.
I was told that the duration of the vacation was just for 1 week, which is giving us small room to sleep or rest. And this can also affect us mentally.
All right, so those were some people speaking about the new calendar and what they think about it. In the studio with me again is Dr. Sylvester Hachu. He's here. He's spending time with us this morning. He's a parent, and he's spoken his mind about what he feels about this new calendar. And also, Mrs. Joyce Lanyon is here with us. She's the country director for International Child Development Program. Now, on the phone, we have Madam Cassandra Chumampofo, the head and public relations unit, GES. And if you can hear me, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I hope you're good.
By the grace of God, I'm doing well.
Great. Thanks for making time for us this morning. We're grateful. First of all, there have been concerns raised about the new calendar. I want to find out, why did we settle on this new schedule?
Thank you once again, and very good morning to your listeners and then viewers. I must say that this is not the first time we are using the transitional academic calendar. You know, when we started double track, we said that at a point we will be going off the double track when infrastructure is improved in the various senior high schools. And so it got to a time that we felt that most of the schools were falling off because their infrastructure were also ready. And so the few that were left, we termed it as transitional because we are moving away. Now, the previous calendar where we had green and gold, so for example, where we have a particular level, say this Form 2, which has been the bone of contention here. Form 2s, you have probably green in school and maybe gold at home. You can have it vice versa as well. And so this transitional calendar does not divide a particular year group into two, but rather if it is Form 2, all Form 2s are out, all Form 1s are in. If it is Form 3s, all Form 3s are out, then all Form 2s are in. So at no point in time T would we have all the three levels, that is Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, in a school, specifically to those using the transitional academic calendar. And these are some of the oversubscribed schools that the numbers are many, and we are hoping that gradually we would go off the structure completely. So now the Form 2 issue here is that parents are worried, and I want to assure them not to be worried because though they went to school on the 10th of January and they are coming back home on the 17th of February, giving room for Form 2 to also go on Form 1s to also, start school on the 20th of January. Doesn't mean it's going to affect their academic calendar or the 100, the instructional hours or contact weeks that we have stipulated for them to have within the academic year. When you look at the calendar critically, you would realize that getting to the end of the Form 2 academic year, they have a long period there, and that is where we intend to make up the lost time that they feel they are losing at this point in time. So now they have to come out for first years to come in. At a point, you will see that the 14th August that they would be in school, so they will go on the 11th of April and then come back 11th of April to 1st of June, and then 2nd June to 13th August, they will be home. Now, the 14th August that they will be in school, at a point, their Form 3s would also complete around September. And then the 14th August, thereabouts to Form 1s will not be in school because their break would be on the 10th of August. The 18th of August that the Form 1s would, the Form 3s would have by then completed their WASI, and then they will be out of campus, making room for the Form 2s to fully have their full contact with or instructional hours. And so, yes, we do understand their concerns. I must say that going to school or preparing for your ward in January, and then February they are coming back, and more so because we published the academic calendar maybe 2 weeks after reopening. We had to do that because we had a series of engagements with our stakeholders, particularly our teacher unions. And so the very day that we even published or we released this academic calendar, we were just out of a meeting with the leadership of the but the pre-tertiary education union, because TEU is also part of the unions that I'm talking about. And so that is how it is.
Yeah,
they are not going to lose out on anything. Definitely would make up to the lost time, maybe the period that they are losing. Definitely will make up, so that within the academic year, the number of weeks, the number of instructional hours would definitely will make up to them. Yeah.
Okay. There are other concerns that we'll look at in terms of making up to them. I'm sure we're going to get to that part, but I want to find out why did we decide that we want to let this come out at the beginning of the year, where students are supposed to be getting ready to go to school? We could have done this way before. Why do we have to wait until now that we're rolling this out?
Exactly. That's a good question. You know that we do have stakeholder engagement anytime we want to put out academic calendar. Now, and then we don't also separate the senior high schools from the junior high school calendar. When we are bringing out the calendar, it is for the whole levels and the pre-tertiary, from kindergarten to senior high school. We had to focus more on the junior high school because we were looking at going back to the old calendar that we used to have before COVID set in. You know, before COVID, we had September to July, that academic year calendar. And then COVID came in, schools closed down for 10 months. We resumed in January. And so from that point, we've had January to December. So with the stakeholder engagement and then with meeting the teacher unions, they said that no, their concerns of the teachers are that we need to go back to the old structure so that at least when we vacate in July, they have their whole summer, the August, and sometimes first, second week in September before school reopens. So they have 5-6 weeks to be able to do whatever they want to do. They are weren't getting it. And so with that and many other justifications, we had to agree. We made concessions that, okay, for the junior high school, then let us reduce the vacation period. Let's reduce the contact hours so that we'll be able to. So if you also study the kindergarten to junior high school calendar, we've been able to end in September because the idea is to go back to the old calendar. That's what we used to do before COVID set in. And because of that particular calendar, the back and forth that made us delay, we couldn't have also published just the senior high school, and the parents would be like, so what about the junior high school? We needed to make sure that we were okay with the levels, and then when we are publishing, we know that we are publishing for the entire level, and then parents would also be okay.
So what happened with engagement? You spoke about meeting some people, from the various schools or from the various, regions to deal with this situation.
We met
to make
Charles,
sure that
exactly.
We now
met leadership of Charles.
Yeah, but the major issue, Madam Cassandra, the major issue right now is the fact that the parents feel left out, and that is where the main burden is, because now parents have to decide on how they're going to make their student or their wards, go back to school. How they're going to explain this whole thing to them. Some have to be paying extra now and all of that. Why did we leave the parents out of this?
When we meet Charles, the Conference of Heads of Assistants, the leadership of the Conference of Heads of Assistants in high schools do not come in only their capacity. They have their various parental meetings, and so they channel those concerns to us. That when we meet our parents, these are the parents of our students, these are their concerns. And so when we meet Charles, they come together with the head's concerns plus the concerns of the parents. And that is how it's been over the time. We don't specifically meet parents for the release of an academic calendar. It is Charles that we meet, knowing very well that Charles also meets their various parents in their various schools. So when we meet the leadership of Charles, and then we also meet the leadership of the unions, then we know that there is a fair representation, and that is how it's been over the time.
But from what you're saying, it means that we didn't really get down to the teachers because the teachers also have representations.
Yes,
where they have direct
about.
engagement
When I say
with
leadership
parents.
of the union, I mean NAT.
So NAT is aware. NAT is aware of this. You had an engagement with NAT.
Exactly. NAT is aware. NAGRAT is aware because we met the leadership of NAGRAT. We met the leadership of CTC concerns. And then we met PEU, Teacher Educational Workers Union, plus CHAS.
But Madam Cassandra, we had conversation with the association, and I'm talking about NAT. They came into the studio and they said that the representation said that they were not aware of it. The Accra chairman said he was not aware of it.
We met the leadership. Anytime we have stakeholder engagements, we meet the leadership, the key leaders.
So how come he's saying that he wasn't aware of any meeting that had to do with this conversation?
Well, I cannot speak to what you are saying. For me, I know. And I'm telling you for a fact that the very day that we published the academic calendar, we had just come out of the meeting with the leadership of the union. And they will attest to it. If you call Mr. Musa, if you call Mr. Kabuno, they will all attest to it. They were in the meeting. We have Charles. We had that representation. And these are the NEC, the National Executive Council members.
So then, was it the case that they were probably, as at the timing of the conversation, forced, quote unquote, to accept the fact that, okay, this is the new thing we're introducing.
No, not
because
at all.
of the timing, whether you like it or not, it's coming from us, so you have to.
Because that could be the reason why we've had. That wasn't the first engagement we've had with them. We had gone back and forth. I told you that they had to present to us the need for us to go back to the old academic calendar.
When were these conversations had? Was it last year or early this year?
No, we had some last year. We had some this year as well. So the final calendar was agreed on.
So it wasn't just this year's decision. It is something that previously you had conversations with the stakeholders
Of course,
involved.
we couldn't have done that. We have, this is the first time. We've always engaged them. They are our key stakeholders. They represent the teachers on the ground. And so this is not the first time meeting them. And it wouldn't be the last time. We always engage them.
And in your submission, you seem to be very sympathetic about parents and what this will mean to them in terms of burden, financial burden for that matter. How do you seek to resolve some of these issues in terms of making them understand that, we believe, and not just saying it, by the way, but making them understand practically that we believe this will bring some sort of financial burden on you, but this is how we want it to go, and we want you to help us through this.
Exactly, like I keep assuring our parents that they should be rest assured that this academic calendar, the most important thing is to know that their words are not going to lack or lose.
Madam Cassandra, that is still the talk. I'm looking at practically what we're going to be. I mean, from what you're saying, if any parent is listening, yes, we will be there for you. But practically, what are we going to put in place to ensure that we don't just say it on radio, we don't just say it on TV, but we're going to go down to make sure that parents have that kind of engagement with us for us to, also understand their plight.
Yes, that's why we have CHAS always at our end. And so we have also engaged them. And today, at 10 a.m., my Director General we're having a press conference at the GES headquarters. And all of these would be addressed, and we will allay the fears of the parents and assure them that indeed. So if you want the practical aspects, my DG will be talking to them directly. And we have the heads of the various institutions, so we've tasked them to also talk to the parents, for them to understand that though they are coming, their words are coming back on the 17th. It doesn't mean they are going to lose out. And let me again emphasize that this is for only schools that are using the transitional calendar, because there are Form 2s also using the single track calendar that are still in school. They would vacate on the 5th of April, so that they have that one straight semester. And then on the 17th of April to the 20th of August, the second semester follows. So this Form 2 issue is specifically to the schools using the transitional academic calendar. These are the oversubscribed schools. I'll get the figures in the specific schools to you later.
Okay. Now, the issue of stress and pressure on the students have been overemphasized. Now, in the studio with me, my guest, Madam Joyce, has been speaking about the fact that this is going to put a lot of pressure and burden on the kids in terms of trying to adjust. How do we intend to make sure psychologically we're able to let the kids also understand that this is what we've got into, and as much as it's going to bring pressure on you, we're going to be here to make sure that we all go through this together?
As it's been the case all the time. When they go to school, it's not that they are in the classroom through, because there are breaks, there are weekends. We have, when it comes to psychological aspect, we have our counselor. Every senior high school has a school counselor. We have our counselors to be engaging them. There are other extracurricular activities. Of course, all work and no play. You can, So
I'm tempted to add that for you, actually.
There are other activities in the school that would also reignite their energy and all of that. I do acknowledge where you are coming from, but there are other activities that would all come in on the school campus to ensure that they have a healthy mind that would rest in a healthy body for them to have a successful academic year.
With all these concerns that have been raised from parents, teachers, I mean, we've spoken to some of the teachers. We've played that video quite a few minutes ago. We've spoken to pupils who have also, then their displeasure about this whole change that they're just about experiencing. Now, what would it cost us if we have to revert to the usual thing they're used to? Or this is a decision that cannot be rescinded?
For the rescinding of this particular decision, I cannot speak to it. This would be a management decision. And so spare me with this question, and then I'll relay that to my boss, definitely, if it will be rescinded. But whatever it is, I always say that we always can sit back on the table, around the table, and then have further discussions on any particular issue that comes up once we have further engagement. And so if the unions come again and say that, yes, we agreed on this, and that, we'll have to look at it, inform the ministry, and then we'll all sit again, and then whatever it is that we would have to put out, we'll definitely put out. But specifically, I cannot speak to that.
Okay. I don't know if any of you have anything you want to ask before we probably say goodbye to Madam Cassandra, or she's answered all your questions for you.
Thank you, Madam Cassandra. But I want to say here that parents are disoriented. The students themselves are disoriented. Teachers are disoriented. You talk about PTA. With the greatest of respect, do we have PTAs?
I'm hoping it's not what I'm thinking, but it looks as if we have lost Madam Cassandra on this one. But you can still make the point. I'm sure.
Do we still have PTAs? Active PTAs. Now we are talking of PAs. So if Madam Cassandra is talking about PTAs, I don't know which era of PTA he's talking about. Because basically parents are quiet. They do not talk much. And then the CHAS do not have the leverage to engage PTAs. They are also afraid that probably their jobs will be on the line. Parents who have gone the extra mile to support even schools will have to justify, headmasters will have to justify. So if Madam is talking about PTAs, I am afraid this association is a bit dormant due to certain conditions. And so we will have to come back and address these issues. You know, the initial calendar was shared with the parents, and so they knew, they had planned. Now you have curtailed this first calendar and brought in a new one.
But she says that there were engagements. I mean, they didn't even start just...
I don't think parents were involved.
They did previous ones last year, which NAT was involved.
NAT is not a parent. NAT will always speak in the interest of its teachers. Parents, if they were part, will speak about issues that affect them in terms of these changes. So I want to believe that NAT spoke on behalf of its teachers.
Now, those information were, I mean, as it were, if we have NAT has an engagement with GES, and they said, okay, we want A, B, C, D done. Now, NAT is coming in terms of representing teachers. Now, the teachers directly work under NAT. I mean, are part of the association. And teachers and parent relationship is because their kids are in school. So are we not saying that it's probably the teachers that didn't, or whoever that was responsible, that didn't do due diligence in making sure that the parents get to understand that this is what we have met with GES, and this is what they're saying? Doc, don't you agree with me?
No.
Because if they had that engagement, then it means that it will trickle down to the teachers. Now, the teachers deal directly with parents like yourself. So probably they feel to let you understand that this is the new direction we're going.
No. The parents are a major stakeholder. The teachers' associations are also a stakeholder.
Major somewhat.
In their own right. Major. I mean, they are also major. That you cannot leave the responsibility of engaging parents to the teacher who also has an interest.
So in your case, the teachers and the parents were supposed to have been in the meeting.
Not necessarily invited to a meeting. Some engagement. There are different ways of engaging. We read this only when it came out, like Madam said. And I got it from a news channel and sent it to my kids' school. Now, let me come back. You notice Madam kept referring to Charles. I am aware that since COVID, because of the double track system, teachers in the senior high schools have not had rest. Most of them complain. I have friends who teach in the secondary schools. So the pressure that she says was coming from the teachers.
Okay, Doc, give me a moment. I think we have Madam Cassandra back on the line. So, Madam Cassandra, Madam Joyce was trying to find out a few things from you. And we want you to just address that quickly before you take leave of us. I understand that you have a lot doing today, but please do this for us.
Yeah, so, Madam Cassandra, my question is, do we still have PTAs active in schools? And whether CHAS has the mandate to be dealing with parents? CHAS, Conference of Heads of Assisted Schools. I'm not sure of that. Secondary schools. Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools. Yeah, have the mandate to be dealing directly with parents when it comes to issues like this. Because parents have been quite dormant these days. So I just want to know whether we have PTAs and whether CHAS has the mandate to deal directly with the parents when it comes to issues around academic calendar. And whether it will be, we would have had parents, representative parents, as part of this your stakeholder meetings to also appreciate the issue and come out with their concerns so that we all have consensus in these changes that we are seeing now. Thank you, Madam.
Okay, thank you once again. So I'll take it from your last suggestion that is well noted. I think I'll relay that to my boss that we will have to probably specifically invite specific parents as you have suggested in our future so that we don't channel it through chat. Yes, we do have PTAs, but now what we have asked them not to do, previously they have this PTA dues where we had lots of complaints of schools driving away students from the classroom for not paying PTA dues. And so that became an issue, a very big issue. So this is Parent-Teacher Association. How does it concern the students? And why should the student suffer because her parents or his parents have not been able to pay dues? It's just like how the old students operate. So we told them that all students are able to give to the school. They are able to give suggestions, whatever they want to do to help the school when they are able to do. And that doesn't affect their work in the school or whatever. So that is how come we have to tell them to put a hold so that we restructure or find a way, we define the whole PTA term. And so mostly these days they have the Teachers Association, they meet, and specifically they also meet parents. Sometimes they also use bulk SMS to relay messages to parents. Issues like this, specific issues like this, yes, schools do invite the parents and then let them have back and forth the conversation around it so that they get their input as well. So we do have just that the strict meetings that we used to have where they were asked to pay dues, and if you don't pay, oh, they will say that, oh, you haven't paid your PTAD. In fact, even at the GHS level, it became so terrible that some teachers or some heads will go to the classroom and then drive the students away just because of PTA. Just leave the class like you owe something. So that is how come we have to put the health with. But we still have parent engagement, madam.
Okay. I'm sure that goes well with Madam Joyce. Do you have any other thing? If not, then we may have to let her go and continue the conversation here.
Well, so I just want to find out that how does this new calendar affect tertiary institutions, because WASI feeds the universities and the other tertiary institutions. Now, suddenly, remember the universities also have the academic calendar, which was adjusted when COVID struck. Now, suddenly, this has changed. How does it fit into the university's calendar, if that was considered?
Okay, Madam Cassandra.
At the SHS level, do you realize that normally anytime they complete, they are able to buy their forms awaiting results? And the universities always contact WAEC when the results are in. That is why if your results are, even though you don't have a physical view of your results, you get a message that you've been admitted in a particular university. They buy it ahead, awaiting results, and that is affected. That's what the universities have been doing for our students. That's what I can say about it.
No, that's not what I'm saying. When they apply, when they will go to school, because it's a calendar. You can apply for university this year and go next year. It doesn't matter. But because the WASI will feed directly the universities, their calendar is adjusted because now universities resume in January. So
on that particular score, I would have to get back and then get how the tertiary, because I speak for GES, I don't want to go so much into the tertiary opening and their admission. But definitely, I'll get you that how they would transition into the universities. But currently, they can buy forms awaiting, even when their results are not in them. By the time the results come in, when the schools, the universities are going, definitely those that have qualified will be admitted. But I don't know whether I've been able to answer your question, but I'll get a detail.
Okay, I think that will be a bigger conversation for the ministry to answer to. I'm sure that's where you're trying to put your concerns to. But we'll take a look at that. We'll say a big thank you to you for making time with us this morning. We appreciate it. We're grateful.
Many thanks for having me.
Great.
Bye.
And that's Cassandra Chumampo, Head Public Relations Unit GES, speaking to us this morning via phone. Some of the messages over here, I'll come back to you in the studio. So this one says, good morning. I'm Hussein from Tamale. My problem with this whole changing of calendar is that it has the tendency to deny teachers who are doing their top job, top up program using sandwich mode, the opportunity to complete their courses since the vacation is very short to even do anything. My question is, why the rush? And this one says, please, I'm Joyce from Cape Coast. Please, I want to know the time the SHS one student are going to school. Please, they said we are going to school on the 20th of this month, but our school placement is not in yet. And another one over here says that, please, I'm Stephen Agbambil, and my concern is right now the placement for the 2023 are not yet out, but students of the year 1 are to report on 20th February. How then are parents going to prepare in terms of the materials to provide for the awards? And that's the financial burden someone is also speaking about over there. This one says, okay, I think I've read this. Let me see. This one says, Joy Prime TV. I'm a parent of recently BEC graduate. I'm worried about the placement when is it coming. All right, so those are some of the messages and concerns you've sent this morning here on the show. We're just about wrapping up, but let me, you wanted to learn, so you can probably
so you notice Madam Cassandra kept referring to Charles.
Yeah.
So there was a problem, or there's a problem with the teachers in the senior high schools, with those in double track. They've not had rest, there's no proper vacation. So that pressure is what we are trying to address, when I say we as a country, from their end. And then we have not considered those below, the effect it will have on them. That's the basic schools, and then the universities. So we try to fix the problem for the high schools, changing the calendar so that they can have vacation, other things. But clearly, as you can see, there are ripple effects. And now we say we have engaged. Madam has established. There's not been enough engagement because we read this, we heard of it. If there are meetings, were they closed door meetings? If there were meetings, we know that there has been engagement to try to adjust the calendar. We know that there are efforts to end the double track system, which is public. There hasn't been anything public about going back to the September to May, June calendar. There has not been any public discussion on this. So we are surprised, but like I said.
But is this something that you parents would like to take up? Maybe petition the government, find a way to, or it's something that you feel you let your children adjust to?
I think this platform also provides some form of engagement. And if they are listening, for example, when I referred to the university, said she was going to go back and this thing. So if they are listening, I'm sure they will consider some of the decisions and see. Maybe
Madam Joyce, from your institution, are you going to pick this up? Is this something that you're going to pursue, or from where we've got into, we have to just let it be?
No, you see, our voices need to be heard in terms of some of these decisions. And we within the civil society space will have to also garner our efforts to make sure what parents are talking about, what teachers are talking, what students are saying is factored in the remedial strategies to get us on track. I appreciate the fact that government is in a hurry to achieve that 7-year strategy in terms of those double track, so that very soon we'll come back to the normal. But then we should not also forget that it's having a negative impact on parents. And they are really, really at a loss, especially under this economic situation where things have over-ballooned in terms of price ranges, in terms of services, if you want a service and all that. So we want to plead with the government to actually look at the other side of the coin in terms of parents. They are major stakeholders within these discussions, what they are saying and how government will try and do its best to mitigate some of the impact of these erratic changes within the system. I would also want to plead that currently the education budget is even reduced. Yeah, so all these strategies, government will have to spend double because most of the time the students will be in school. So issues around feeding, issues around logistics, issues around teaching and learning materials will come to play, and it will still be a burden for government to achieve. We already are faced with similar challenges in terms of allocations for teaching and learning to be effective. Teachers themselves are burnt out, if you listen to the conversation. So we want to plead with government and suggest that in dealing with some of these challenges and in an attempt to finish with that 7-year moratorium and get things back on track, there should be serious engagement where parents will have to be part of this discussion so that we will all achieve whatever it is we sought in terms of education for our kids. Rather not find a way where a chunk of our girls, I'm always talking in the interest of girls, will be falling out because of some of these staying in the house too long and so on and so forth.
Okay.
This might be.
All right. Many thanks to you for joining us here on the show today. Really appreciate you. Dr. Sylvester Achu is a parent. He joined us here this morning to discuss the issue of the new calendar. And also, Mrs. Joyce Lanyon also joined us, the country director for International Child Development Program. And joining us on the phone was Cassandra Chumampafo. She's the head public relations unit, GES. I'm saying a big thank you to you this morning for making it to the studios. We're grateful. All right, so that's going to be all our conversation for this morning here on Prime Inside on the new calendar that has been revised and released. And for you also at home who sent in your text messages, we appreciate you as well. We've got some more conversation coming up here on the show. The big interview is going to be focusing on the CEO of Charterhouse and Multiple Concept, Madam Theresa Ayoade. She's going to be in the studio. Rosalind Felly takes up that conversation. Of course, a bit later, Dinah Hamilton will also be joining us here. The Awake Experience is happening, and she's here to talk to us about it and how we can be part of it. Emitha is also here with us in the studio. So there's more coming up here on Prime Morning. Please do stay.